Okay, so who am I? I'm just some guy who loves watching UFC. I'm no expert and do not claim to be. I make these videos for fun because I have a real passion for the sport, not because I'm an expert in any way. So feel free to critique me and tell me why I'm wrong. But now that that's out of the way, UFC 294 has been absolutely crazy. I had made a prediction for Islam versus Charles Oliveira. I was pretty excited for this fight, but as we all know, and if you don't know, check out my last video, Oliveira has pulled out of his fight with Islam. So, I've made a prediction video for Volkanovski versus Islam. I think this is more of an exciting fight since the last one was very close, but Volkanovski is taking this on 11 days notice, and I would really like to see him have a proper training camp. But anyway, enough of me talking about things that never actually happened. Who do I think is going to win this fight? Well, let's look at the pros and cons of each fighter. So what are the pros of Islam? Islam has had a full training camp. He's been preparing for months for a fight with Charles Oliveira. You can't even begin to compare just how much more prepared and conditioned Islam will be for this fight than Volkanovski. He seems very confident, not only after winning his last fight, but he didn't even think that it was a close fight. He was saying in interviews that it wasn't close because it was a unanimous decision. Even Khabib has backed him up, saying that he can beat anyone in 55, and has said if King Kong can make 155 that he could beat him. So the change doesn't seem to make any difference or faze him in the slightest. Again, he's been training with Khabib again. So he'll probably be focusing on his takedowns, his wrestling, and now the takedown defense. Because Volkanovski had such good takedown defense last time, and it was really hard for Islam to keep him on the ground. As well, Islam was preparing for Oliveira, who did say that he was going to knock him out. Oliveira continued to say this throughout different interviews, and Volkanovski has already said that he will KO Islam. That's so difficult to come across. Volkanovski's going to have a real tough time. But even with all these pros, there actually are some cons, even though there aren't very many. But the main thing that I sort of thought of was he's prepping for a different fighter. We did say that it was quite similar, the approach that Volkanovski's taking to Charles, but the main thing I was thinking of was the size difference. Because Volkanovski is so much shorter, and this is going to make level changes so much harder for Islam when he's trying to go for takedowns. Charles being a similar size to him meant that it wouldn't have been too bad for takedowns, because it would have been fairly similar to all the different fights he's had so far as well. But he's going to have to almost dive to take these takedowns because Volkanovski's so much shorter. I am the same size as Volkanovski, about 5'6", so I kind of understand where he's coming from. But let's look at some of the pros of Volkanovski. And I think there's actually a lot more pros than other people seem to be giving him credit for. Don't forget, he was pound for pound number one after all. And in my eyes, he still is pound for pound number one. I do think Jon Jones is a fantastic fighter, but he just hasn't been active enough. But anyway, Volkanovski is always in the gym. Always in the gym. I can imagine that he was specifically practicing for wrestling as well, and takedowns after his last loss to Islam. He knew that he would get a rematch at some point, and he definitely does not like to lose. I would be guessing that he's been slowly focusing on wrestling whenever he has been training in the gym. Even look at his fight with Yair. It was a great fight on Volkanovski's part, but it was very wrestling heavy compared to his normal striking style. As well, we can't forget that Volkanovski loves proving people wrong. As we said here, he loves risks and loves a challenge. He loves to prove people wrong. The vast majority of people here are counting him out. But Volkanovski, in his mind, taking this on 11 days notice, I can see this igniting the real competitive dog in Volkanovski. Even though everybody's expecting him to lose, he has said many times that he loves to be the underdog and loves proving the world wrong. That's what he was saying consistently going into their first fight. As well, he knows exactly what to expect from Islam's grappling and striking. He said that he was quite surprised just how good Islam's striking was, and that he underestimated last time. But this time, he definitely won't. And we can't forget, there is literally no pressure on Volkanovski. He has taken this fight on 11 days' notice. If he loses, people will think that he lost because of the 11 days' notice, the short-term turnaround, rather than his ability as a fighter. But let's look at the cons of Volkanovski. The obvious one that we've mentioned is 11 days' notice. That is such a short amount of time for a championship fight, especially against someone with the caliber of Islam. He's had no camp and very little time to prepare for this fight. As well, after his last fight with Yair, he got elbow surgery. Even in his post-fight interview, he was quite hesitant whenever asked if he would be able to make a quick enough turnaround to fight Islam in Abu Dhabi. But he's now taken it on 11 days' notice, which kind of questions, is he properly recovered? As well, he's going to have to fly the whole way to Abu Dhabi. How will he acclimatise to the time zone and climate on such short notice? He has said in different interviews that he acclimatises pretty quickly, but it could still play a factor. And the last one, I do question the weight cut. Yeah, he is a 145er, but he did say in an interview that he had very close to just agreeing to take this fight, that the last time he checked his weight, which was a few days before he got the call, that he was weighing a bit heavier than he normally would. And as well, we can't forget that after his last fight with Islam, he did say that he would like to have been a little bit lighter so that he could have been more explosive. By the way, if you're wondering where I get all this information and all these fighters saying the different things that I've repeated, I've either got it on their YouTube channels or interviews that they've had either before the fight or after the fight. Yes, I watch every single one because I love the sport so much. But anyway, conclusion time. So, who do I think wins this fight? My head says Islam, just because he's had so much time to prepare for this fight. But my heart says Volkanovski. Like, it's if he can win this on 11 days' notice, Alexander Volkanovski going in to enemy territory, beating one of the best Dagestanis, who is normally seen untouchable, on 11 days' notice, I genuinely think he'll be in the GOAT conversation. Like, in my mind, he's already nearly the best featherweight of all time. Like, I think he's really close to, like, Aldo was fantastic, but Volkanovski just keeps getting better every single time. If he gets that double champ status, I don't see how he couldn't be in the GOAT conversation. Like, as I said, I think Islam will win, but man, I would love to see Volkanovski pull it off. I love an underdog story. I really do. Like Rocky, one of my favorite films. So, if Volkanovski wins, I think he'll be in the GOAT conversations. But guys, let me know who you think wins. Like, I'm really genuinely interested in hearing other people's opinions. So, do let me know in the comments below who you think wins, and if you think I'm wrong. But anyway, see you in the next one, guys.